The anime begins with a priest named Ferdinand showing a drink to a little girl named Myne. At that time, Ferdinand asked Myne to put on a magical device on her head. As soon as she wore it, she fell asleep. There, Ferdinand was curious about why Myne loved books so much, so he used a magic device to connect with Myne's subconscious mind. He did this because it was strange for a child in medieval times to be so obsessed with making books. When connected to Myne, Ferdinand was taken into the memories of a librarian named Urano Motosu. Urano loved reading all kinds of books, both science and nonfiction. One day, Urano had an accident. As she was about to die, she wished she could read more books. Moments later, God granted her wish and reincarnated her into Myne's body. When Urano woke up, she was in a house she didn't recognize. Soon, a woman named Eva, who was Myne's mother, approached her. And at that time, Urano, now in Myne's body, didn't understand what Eva was saying. Suddenly, Myne's memories and Urano's memories mixed, causing a headache. Eventually, the two minds synchronized, and Urano could understand the language of the new world she was in. Now, Urano, as Myne, started to get to know Myne's family. Then, Myne asked her older sister Tully to give her a book. Sadly, Tully didn't know what a book was because they were so rare back then. Books were handwritten, and only rich people had them. Since Tully thought Myne was still sick, she ignored her request. Soon after, Eva checked Myne and saw that her fever was gone. Myne was usually weak, so Eva told her to rest until dinner. After that, Eva sent Tully to the market. While they were gone, Myne got out of bed and searched the house for a book, but she didn't find any. When Tully and her mother came back, they were shocked to see the messy house. Suddenly, Myne started crying loudly because she loved reading and couldn't find any books. For 3 days and nights, Myne cried nonstop because she missed reading. Living in this new world was hard for her because it was so different from her old life as Urano. At that time, Myne also got annoyed with her long hair and wanted to use Tully's favorite doll as a hairpin. Tully was upset and complained when Myne broke the doll. So, she made a hairpin and gave it to Myne. But there, Myne didn't understand the customs of that time and tied all her hair up. Tully explained that only grown women could do that. After learning this, Myne only tied up part of her hair. After that, Eva took Myne to the market. There, Myne hoped there would be a bookstore since she loved reading. But after looking around the market, they didn't find any bookstores. However, Myne was excited to see price signs on the stalls. Eva taught Myne to read the numbers, and she was happy to learn something new. Unfortunately, Myne accidentally saw a butcher at work and fainted. She woke up soon after. To avoid causing trouble for her mom, Myne stayed at an elderly couple's shop while Eva shopped. The couple had a book in their shop. Desperate to read it, Myne begged to touch the book. But the book was very expensive, only affordable for nobles, so the man didn't let her. After finishing her shopping, Eva picked up Myne. At dinner, Myne decided that if she couldn't get a book, she would make one herself. But to write a book, she needed paper, and she didn't have any money, so her plan was delayed. Frustrated, she also hated her hair, which felt as tough as writing material. Soon after, Tully and her mother came back from the market. At that time, Tully mentioned making oil from marrow fruit, reminding Myne of her past life as Urano. Back then, Urano often made shampoo and soap from fruits. Soon after, Myne asked Tully to let her help squeeze oil from the marrow fruit. Tully told Myne to wrap the fruit in cloth to avoid a mess. Unfortunately, Myne broke the fruit, making a mess everywhere, and got scolded by her mom. After that, Myne and Tully worked together to make oil from the marrow fruit. Myne used the oil to wash her hair, which made Tully very confused. But when they saw Myne's shiny hair, Tully and her mother were really amazed. While their parents were out, Myne and Tully were in charge of the house. They realized their dad, Gunther, had forgotten something important that Eva had prepared. Worried that Eva would be angry, Tully decided to take the item to their dad at work and invited Myne to go with her. As Myne walked down the stairs, she realized why her mom often carried her at the market. At that time, Myne's body was very weak, and she felt tired just from walking down the stairs. On their way, Myne and Tully met Ralph and his friends, who were heading to the forest. Myne noticed a boy with yellow hair named Lutz. Seeing her tired, Lutz offered to carry her, but Ralph stopped him, saying Lutz wouldn't be able to carry her. Hearing that, Tully agreed with Ralph, as he was used to carrying Myne on his back. Myne thanked Lutz for his offer, and they continued their journey to the guard post together. On the way, Ralph smelled a nice fragrance coming from Tully's hair and complimented her on how beautiful it looked. In that moment, Myne thought Ralph might have a crush on Tully. Flashback to when Myne washed her hair with marrow oil, Tully did the same. Not only did Tully wash her hair, but their mom also wanted her hair to smell nice. Remembering this, Myne felt very happy and helped make Tully look even prettier. One day, Lutz came closer and smelled Myne's hair. He told her that her hair smelled nice and was as smooth as silk. And Myne, who still had memories of her past life as Urano, felt embarrassed because no boy had ever complimented her like that before. Soon, they arrived at the guard post, and Myne and Tully parted ways with Lutz and his friends. When they met Gunther, it was clear how close he was with his two daughters. Not long after, a man named Otto arrived and reported to Gunther about some nobles coming to the area. Otto was then asked to write an entry permit. Seeing the parchment, Myne got excited, but Gunther didn't allow her to use the expensive paper. Instead, Otto promised to give her a blackboard the next time she visited. Myne was happy and even said kind words to Otto, which made Gunther a bit annoyed. As time passed, winter was approaching. According to tradition, people prepared for winter by hunting pigs. When they reached the hunting area, Myne was asked to stay away from the hunt, so she sat alone. During this time, Myne thought of an idea to make something like paper using papyrus. However, as she got excited about her idea, she accidentally saw the blood from the pig hunt and fainted because she couldn't handle the sight. When Myne woke up, she was already at the guard post. When she fainted, Gunther took her there right away. To keep her busy, Otto kept his promise and gave Myne a writing board. Myne was happy because she could write while waiting. But soon, she got a fever and had to rest. When she woke up again, she was in her room and was given delicious sausages made by Tully and her friends. After eating, she was happy to see the blackboard and started writing. As the weather got colder, Myne's family, except for Gunther, stayed home. At that time, Eva sewed, Tully wove baskets, and Myne kept warm by the fire. There, Eva asked Myne to learn how to weave, but Myne wanted to make papyrus like the ancient Egyptians. However, extracting bamboo fibers was hard, so she often asked Tully for help. Despite all the effort, the papyrus she made was small. In that moment, Myne decided to abandon the Egyptian method and try making clay tablets like the Mesopotamians instead. Before starting her second plan, Myne decided to weave a basket as Eva had asked. At that time, Tully wanted to teach her, but Myne, remembering her past life as Urano, knew how to weave well. Then, Myne made a beautiful basket. So nice that Tully felt a bit jealous because her younger sister's basket was better. Tully almost cried, but Eva wisely handled the situation, making Tully happy again. Myne felt grateful to have such a smart mom like Eva. In that country, when kids turn 7, they get baptized and start apprenticeships. They usually follow their parents' jobs because they need their parents' recommendations. When Myne was asked what she wanted to do, she confidently said she wanted to become a bookmaker. The next day, Myne wondered why she didn't see her dad or Tully. Eva told her they were out gathering Peru fruit. When they came back, Tully started burning wood and making holes in the Peru fruit. White liquid came out, which tasted like delicious coconut milk when Myne tried it. Seeing Tully's bruised hands, Myne asked about it. Tully explained that to harvest Peru, they had to warm the tree trunk with their hands first. Then Myne ate bird feed, which tasted like soybeans to her. After a while, Ralph and his friends arrived, wanting to trade food. Myne fed Lutz some food dipped in Peru, and he was surprised at how tasty it was. Myne also made feed mixed with Peru and wrapped in dough. She baked pancakes with Lutz's help, and they all enjoyed eating them. When Gunther came home from work, he tried the pancakes and was amazed that bird feed could taste so good. Shortly after, Tully expressed her surprise at Myne's abilities. But there, Tully felt a bit strange about it. There were many unexpected things she could do. Gunther reassured her that there was nothing wrong with being different. He reminded them all that Myne had been sick for a long time, so when she did something amazing, they should appreciate it. Suddenly, the conversation stopped because Myne was upset that her writing stone was almost gone. She asked to visit Otto. Her dad, Gunther, asked if Myne really liked Otto. Innocently, Myne said she did, which made Gunther misunderstand and feel annoyed, thinking his little girl had a crush on Otto. Eva just shook her head at this. Since Eva and Tully were going to the forest, Gunther took Myne with him. On the way, Gunther, still confused, told Myne that Otto was married. Myne was surprised by what Gunther meant. When they arrived at the guard post, Gunther left Myne with Otto. He even warned Otto that if Myne got sick, Otto would be responsible. While Otto was working on a financial report, Myne pointed out a mistake he made, surprising Otto with her math skills. Myne explained that even though she didn't know the alphabet well, her mom had taught her to count when they went to the market. Feeling a bit embarrassed, Otto asked Myne for help. Myne agreed but said she wanted a slate as payment for her work. Hearing that, Otto laughed, impressed that Myne already knew about rewards. But turns out, Myne wasn't good with the medieval calculator, so she calculated everything manually. Her work was fantastic, and the financial reports were done quickly. When Eva and Tully came to pick her up, Myne left the guard post. The next day, Eva had prepared the clothes she sewed during winter for Tully to wear at the christening. The clothes were so beautiful, and Tully was very happy. There, Myne wanted to make Tully look even better, so she planned to make a hair tie from knitted fabric. The problem was, knitting wasn't available in their country. So, Myne decided to make it herself. She asked Gunther for help to make an embroidery needle. Although Gunther was still annoyed because Myne praised Otto, he couldn't refuse his cute daughter's request. Seeing Gunther not angry anymore, Tully and Eva felt relieved. Finally, Myne used the needle made by Gunther. Soon after, Myne started embroidering small flowers, and Eva helped her. They placed the finished embroidery on the pin that Gunther made. The result was a beautiful hair clip. Thanks to the hair clip, Tully looked even more charming. Their father was overjoyed to have daughters like Myne and Tully. Eva was also happy to see their family unity, as Myne cared a lot for Tully, and Tully grew up beautifully. Then, Myne and her family ate breakfast that Myne made. They were surprised at how good Myne was at cooking and joked that she might become a great chef in the future. But Myne didn't dream of being a cook because she wanted to make books. Shortly after, her father told her that Otto wanted Myne to work as his assistant. Otto also wanted Myne to join a class he created to teach future soldiers to read and write. Myne was very happy to hear this. At the same time, Eva and Tully were amazed that Myne could write and count so well. After that, Myne was in a class taught by Otto. During the class, Myne acted like a teacher. She told the kids that if they didn't memorize the alphabet, they wouldn't be able to go home quickly. Myne thought this was a good way to make the boys study harder. Otto also agreed with her method. One day, Myne got sick after school, but over time, she was able to attend more often. Now, she could go to school 5 days in a row. Because of this, her dad allowed her to go to the forest. While Lutz was looking for firewood, Myne was digging, hoping to find clay. But then, Lutz saw what she was doing and scolded her. Her dad had trusted Lutz to keep her safe, and Lutz felt Myne was breaking that trust. Even so, he helped Myne find clay, helping her with her dream. After a while, Lutz kept looking for firewood while Myne waited for the clay to dry. Unfortunately, Faye and his friends messed up Myne's work. Her screams brought Lutz and Tully to the scene. Seeing Myne so angry scared Faye's group. Luckily, Lutz calmed her down, and together they looked for more clay. Once they collected it, Myne started writing on it. However, it rained heavily for days, and Myne got sick again. When the rain stopped, they found the dried clay, but the rain had ruined Myne's work. Soon after, Lutz and his friends helped her collect more clay. After gathering it, Tully's group continued looking for firewood while Lutz stayed with Myne. Myne tried to bake the clay tablets to make them sturdy, but they broke. Winter turned into summer, and it was time for the baptism of children who had turned 7. Lutz's mom and Eva chatted together. At that time, everyone admired Tully's beautiful outfit and hairpin. Seeing his daughter so popular made Gunther emotional. When he wanted to join the ceremony, Myne told him to focus on his work because earning a living was more important. When Gunther arrived at the guard post, Otto complained that he was late. They had an important meeting that needed to start right away. While Otto was in the meeting, Myne spent her time studying. Soon, some soldiers came in and needed Otto's help to read a message. But then, Myne stepped in and read the message for them. The message said that a merchant wanted to meet Otto. After that, Myne told the soldier to ask the merchant to wait in the noble's waiting room. After the meeting, Gunther took Myne away so she wouldn't see Otto, even though she needed to talk to him. But then they saw Otto from a distance, and Myne told him about the guest waiting in the room. After dinner, Myne gave Tully some snacks of different shapes. Tully loved the delicious treats. Their parents also gave her an apprenticeship kit. At that time, Myne received a gift too, and it was a knife because she would be helping to gather firewood in the forest from now on, taking over Tully's job. The next day, while in the forest, Myne thought about making riding tools from wood, inspired by bamboo. After gathering firewood, Lutz came over and helped Myne carve the wood to make it smooth. There, they talked about their dreams. Lutz said he wanted to be a traveling trader and asked Myne to introduce him to Otto for an apprenticeship recommendation. Hearing that, Myne agreed to help Lutz. After a while, they finished a lot of wood. When Myne got home, she dried the wood in the warehouse. The next day, Myne told Otto that Lutz wanted to meet him to get introduced to a traveling salesman. There, Otto promised to take the time on his day off to fulfill Myne's request. Myne also asked Otto to replace her slate with ink, but ink was too expensive, so he refused. Myne then asked to use ash as a substitute, but her mom didn't allow it since they used ash for soap. So, she decided to use leftover charcoal from firewood but had to clean the kiln to get it. The next day, Myne told Lutz that Otto wanted to meet him. Lutz was very happy. Together, they mixed charcoal with clay to make crayons. However, when they went to the warehouse, they found that Myne's mom had used the polished wood for cooking. Knowing that, Myne was sad and got a fever. When she woke up, Lutz was by her side. He encouraged Myne, who felt hopeless because she kept failing to write books. Lutz told Myne to stay healthy because if she got sick, she wouldn't be able to help him meet Otto. Hearing that gave her a renewed sense of hope. The next day, Myne asked Otto how to achieve something difficult. Otto replied that Myne needed someone to help her. If she didn't have money, she could find someone she could persuade. That's how to get things without spending money. Otto then told Myne that the meeting with Lutz was postponed to a day he would decide. Otto thought that the person recommended by Myne must be very cute, so he was excited about the meeting. However, Myne was confused why the meeting seemed so special to Otto. When Myne kept looking at Lutz, he got scared. At that time, she wanted to wash Lutz's hair so he would look good for his meeting with Otto. On the meeting day, Myne and her friends were at the meeting spot. To their surprise, Otto didn't come alone cause he brought a merchant named Benno. Benno was impressed by Myne's shiny hair. When he asked about it, Myne kept the ingredients a secret, which was her strategy to get the merchant's attention. Then, Otto advised Lutz to hide his wish to become a traveling trader. He explained that they didn't have citizenship rights. The goal of a traveling trader is to get citizenship in the area where they want to settle. If Lutz left his country, he wouldn't be accepted back as a citizen. Besides, buying citizenship was very expensive. However, there was another way for Lutz to become a trader which he could join as an apprentice, and this idea came from Myne. Soon after, Benno asked Lutz why he wanted to be a trader. Myne said that Lutz might want to help her make books. This inspired Lutz to set his mission to help Myne achieve her dream. Then, Myne explained that the paper they needed wouldn't come from animal skin but from plants, as they were easier to find. Because of this conversation, Benno agreed to let Myne and Lutz apprentice at his trading company. Both of them were very happy. When Myne got home, she told her family that she and Lutz were accepted as apprentices at the Gilberta company. Upon hearing that, her family was very surprised. Shortly after, Myne realized that to make paper, they needed tools. So, the next day, she asked Lutz to make paper-making tools. The problem was, they didn't have any nails. Shortly after, Myne went to Otto to get some nails. Otto agreed to give her nails, but only if she showed him how to make shampoo. But there, Myne couldn't give him the recipe, but she could provide the product. They made a deal, and Myne went to Otto's house to wash his wife's hair, whose name was Karina. After washing, Karina's hair became shiny and she looked even more beautiful. Otto was impressed and gave Myne the nails as payment. With the nails, Lutz quickly made a paper-making frame. However, it wasn't perfect cause there were gaps. At that time, Myne wanted the frame to be solid, but they needed more tools for a perfect result. Asking Lutz's dad for help wasn't an option because his family wanted him to be a craftsman, not a trader. Despite this, Lutz was determined to find a way to perfect the paper-making tool. After returning from the forest, Myne and her friends were greeted by Otto. Otto handed them a letter from Benno. In the letter, Benno invited Myne and Lutz to lunch. They accepted the invitation and went to have lunch with Benno. After eating, Benno started talking about business. He was upset because Myne asked Otto for nails instead of him. Benno said Myne should have talked to him about it, even though they hadn't signed a contract yet. Then, Myne apologized for her mistake, and Benno forgave her. After that, Benno said he would provide the materials and tools needed to make paper. The paper would be sold by the Gilberta company, and Myne and her friends would get 10% of the profits. But at that time, Myne wanted more. She wanted the right to produce the paper and for Lutz to have the exclusive right to sell it. As for the shampoo, Myne agreed to sell the recipe to Benno. Benno accepted Myne's proposal. Suddenly, Myne noticed Lutz looking at her strangely. Benno's employee prepared a magical agreement letter. Learning that magic existed in her world made Myne feel like she was in a fantasy story. However, only nobles and their servants could use magic. This made her annoyed, feeling that nobles controlled everything, including books and magic. Feeling the contract was fair, Myne and her friends signed it. The agreement required a blood stamp, so Lutz helped Myne cut her finger to stamp the agreement. After returning from the Gilberta company, Myne was shocked because Lutz started avoiding her. There, he realized that Myne wasn't the same as before. Hearing Lutz's words, Myne was confused and had a nightmare about it. The next day, Myne ran into Lutz. Seeing that he seemed normal, Myne felt relieved. Since Lutz had to go to the forest, Myne went alone to Benno's place. While checking out the workshop location, she fainted on the road. When she woke up, she was at Benno's house. Benno gave her a harsh scolding. That evening, there was a serious talk about Myne. Benno explained that Myne's fever was caused by too much mana in her body. Otto was shocked because he thought only nobles had mana. Since Myne was a commoner, her body couldn't handle the excess mana. Usually, commoners with too much mana died before baptism. This news made Otto worried because if the captain knew about Myne's condition, he would be very sad. The next day, Myne met with Lutz, and he apologized. There, he admitted he was jealous of Myne's many skills and felt she didn't need him. Upon hearing that, Myne was relieved because she thought Lutz hated her. Then, Lutz accompanied Myne to Gilberta's company. Lutz was given the job of escorting and looking after Myne. For business matters, she had to get Lutz's permission before making decisions. Even though Myne agreed, Lutz knew she might not follow this rule. Feeling caught, Myne became embarrassed, making Benno and his friends laugh. Later, Myne and her friends were in the papermaking workshop. There, Mark told them that they had to return the key every time they finished work before going home. After that, they started making a drainer. Lutz had trouble shaping the bamboo into small sizes, so Myne decided to get help from someone else. Shortly after, they visited a woodworker named Benny, whose way of speaking surprised Myne. She asked for dry wood to make the frame and then asked Benny to make the drainer from bamboo. However, Benny wasn't a specialist in this, so he suggested they go to a craftsman named Jal. At that time, Jal agreed to make the drainer after seeing Myne's design. Soon, all the tools were ready. Lutz carried the heavy frame to the forest, struggling with its weight. Once there, they started boiling water. While Lutz looked for softwood, Myne stayed at their spot. When the firewood ran out, she went to find more. Then, Myne accidentally saw something strange turning into a creeping tree. She screamed, and Lutz rushed over, shocked to see a trombe. Lutz quickly cut down the trombe and called for help. Eventually, they managed to destroy the trombe. Myne learned that the trombe was a dangerous plant that could drain nutrients and make the surrounding area barren if left to grow. Myne then thought of using the trombe to make paper, but Lutz reminded her that they couldn't rely on such a dangerous plant. After boiling the trombe, Myne turned it into pulp. They mixed the fibers with sticky paste made from adelie fruit and water. Then, they used the drainer to even out the paper's thickness. During this time, Lutz started questioning Myne about her knowledge of papermaking because he was suspicious. Myne struggled to answer all of Lutz's questions. Soon, they managed to make the paper. They just needed to wait for it to dry completely. It was then that Lutz asked who was really inside Myne's body. But then, Lutz got angry when he learned that Myne's body had been taken over by Urano. He even blamed Urano for causing Myne's fever. Urano explained that Myne had died, and somehow, Urano ended up in Myne's body. The fever wasn't her fault because it affected her too. If Urano left, Myne would likely die again. However, Lutz was still upset and asked how long Urano had been in Myne's body. He remembered it was about a year ago when Myne used a hairpin to tie her hair. Then, Lutz realized most of his memories with Myne were actually with Urano in her body. So, he decided to accept Urano as Myne. They made up and became friends again. After that, Myne and her friends brought the prototype paper they made to Benno. After testing it, Benno said they passed, making Lutz and Myne his official apprentices. Benno noted that writing looked better on the brighter paper. However, he was shocked to learn the paper was made from trombe. Soon after, Myne casually suggested using trombe for paper, but Benno and Lutz disagreed because growing trombe could make the land barren. Since they successfully made paper, which would be mass-produced, Myne and Lutz were paid for their work. After that, Myne showed her flower pin, which Tully wore at the baptism ceremony. Myne planned to sell the flower pins in the winter if possible. Benno was very interested. He was surprised that the popular pins were made by Myne. Then, Myne mentioned that Lutz helped with the design so that he could be included in the flower pin project. To make them official apprentices at Gilberta Company, Benno registered them with the Merchant Guild. However, the guild master, Gustav, made it difficult because Myne and Lutz hadn't been baptized yet. But Benno found a way to convince Gustav to accept them. Benno asked Myne to show the flower pin that Gustav had been looking for. He provoked Gustav by mentioning his granddaughter's dream of wearing the beautiful pin. Not wanting to disappoint his granddaughter, Gustav agreed to register Myne and Lutz. Gustav also wanted to recruit Myne, but Benno firmly rejected the idea. Then, they agreed on a price of 4 silver coins for the pin, which surprised Myne and her friends because it was so high. Benno explained that everything Myne and her friends made was of high value. The next day, Myne's group met Gustav's granddaughter, Ferda, at their meeting spot. Ferda took Myne and Lutz to Odomar, Gustav's shop. There, Myne showed the specially designed flower pin. Ferda was very happy with the design and gave them extra thread so they could match the pin with the dress Ferda would wear at the baptism ceremony. When discussing the price, there was a debate because Ferda needed 2 pins. Myne wanted to give a discount on the second pin, while Ferda insisted on paying the same price for both. Lutz suggested a compromise that the second pin would be half the price of the first. Both Myne and Ferda agreed to his idea. However, Benno scolded Myne and her friends, warning that giving discounts to all customers could be bad for business. The next day, Myne's group visited again, bringing ribbons that matched the color of Ferda's dress. Ferda was very pleased with the pins. Once again, Ferda wanted Myne to join her family's business. Lutz, who was tasked with protecting Myne from being recruited by others, stepped in. He asked Myne to firmly refuse Ferda's offer, just like Benno had taught him. Myne then explained that she was often weak and sick with fevers. Ferda shared that she had similar health issues. Ferda advised her to never lose hope, as it was key to surviving their illnesses. This advice was very helpful for Myne. Winter arrived, bringing the pig hunting festival. Myne was too sick to attend. Tully and her friends came back with ingredients for soup. At that time, Lutz visited Myne to check on her, feeling relieved to see she was getting better. There, Myne reminded Lutz about the tasks Benno had given them for winter, that they needed to become proficient in reading, writing, using a calculator, and looking presentable. Lutz was shocked, unsure if he could master all these skills. Myne was mostly concerned about their appearance since they didn't know what fashion was appropriate. Soon after, she asked Benno about the appearance standards. Benno explained that they needed to wear very nice clothes to make a good impression on customers. Good outfits would cost around 10 silver coins. Lutz was surprised because he didn't have that much money. Myne reminded him that they had savings in the guild that they could use to improve their appearance. Then, Benno talked about the problem with making shampoo, which wasn't as good as Myne's. Even though they followed her instructions, the cloth they used was too fine, causing the useful cleaning parts to be filtered out. They needed a rougher cloth to keep the important components. Myne suggested that the leftover mixture could still be used as a skin scrub. Benno accepted this information, but it wasn't free. Benno had a private conversation with Myne about the cost of the information, which was 3 small gold coins. Myne's cleverness and way of speaking made Benno wonder who she really was. Myne firmly said she wouldn't reveal her identity, even for money. Benno respected her privacy because she was valuable to his business. He wouldn't let other companies take Myne. Benno also heard from Gustav that Ferda talked about Myne's fevers. Gustav said his granddaughter could survive because of money, so Myne should save money for when she needs it. Myne planned to sell flower pins and asked her family for help. She offered to pay them, and her father wanted to make the pins, but that was Lutz's job. To keep her father from feeling sad, Myne asked him to take her to the gate. There, she greeted Otto. Since a trombe was found, Otto and his team were busy dealing with it. The trombe cuttings were used by Myne and her friends to make paper. At that time, Lutz complained that his family didn't want to help him with the pins. Myne suggested he teach Ralph and his friends to help and pay them for their work. As expected, when Ralph's group was paid, they were eager to help. After saying goodbye to their parents, Myne and her friends headed to the workshop. While boiling the wood pulp for paper, she also steamed some potatoes with butter, which was a new type of food in their country. When they tasted it, Lutz was surprised at how delicious the potatoes were. Before they knew it, their paper-making work was done, and they just had to wait for it to dry. Meanwhile, Myne suddenly had a flare-up of her illness, but it didn't last long. To get Myne to the Gilberta company, Lutz carried her on his back. Lutz couldn't stop crying because he was so worried about Myne. Seeing him so upset made Myne feel bad. Lutz then asked Benno for advice on how to save Myne from her illness. Benno told him not to make Myne worry about him. Lutz's job was to help Myne earn money and get what she needed. The next day, they were able to sell the flower pins. Myne thought they could make 20 pins. When they got to the office, they received payment for the pins they sold. Myne then asked if her handmade baskets could be sold too. Benno was surprised to realize that all the unique items he had seen in the last 6 months were made by Myne. Benno then asked if Myne could sell products like her AIO shampoo. Myne had the idea to make soap and scented candles. Benno was excited about these ideas and hoped Myne could produce them by spring. Suddenly, Myne's illness flared up again, causing her to faint. Benno and his team were worried and ordered Mark to prepare a carriage to take Myne to Gustav's house. While unconscious, Myne saw a circle that seemed to absorb her fever. When she woke up, Myne was confused about where she was. Soon, she got up and was greeted by Ferda, who told her she was at Ferda's house. Myne then noticed a bracelet on her arm and asked about it. At that moment, the bracelet cracked. Ferda explained that the bracelet was a magic item given by nobles. However, only temporarily reduced the fever. Once the fever returned, the eater would start harming the body again. This meant they needed more bracelets. Another way to survive the eater was to make a contract with a noble, as Ferda had done. In exchange for getting magic bracelets regularly, Ferda had to become a noble's concubine. Myne was faced with the choice of living under the protection of a noble or staying with her family and risking death. The next day, Myne was surprised to learn that the cost of a magic bracelet was 3 small gold coins. However, she was able to pay it, which disappointed Gustav because if she couldn't pay, Myne would have had to work for Odomar's company. After that, Myne met with her family in Lutz, but she was still under supervision and couldn't go home yet. After Eva and her friends left, Myne taught Ferda and her group how to make pound cake. After enjoying the delicious cake, they spent time relaxing in a warm water bath. After the bath, Myne and Ferda fell asleep peacefully. The next day was the baptism ceremony. Ferda looked beautiful wearing her flower pin, and Gustav was very happy to see his granddaughter looking so lovely. Seeing Ferda reminded Myne of her own family, and without realizing it, tears started to fall down her cheeks. The next day, Myne, who had recovered, was taken home by her family. After lunch, Myne and her family discussed some things. From that day on, Urano, now living as Myne, started to truly feel like this was her own home. As time passed, it was time for Myne's baptism. Following Myne's instructions, Eva altered Tully's dress to make it look beautiful and elegant, making Myne look like royalty. Afterward, Myne shared the truth about her illness. When her family learned that Myne had only a year left to live, they were very sad. However, Myne was determined to stay with her family until the end, rather than move to the noble district. It was a touching moment between Myne and her beloved family. Because of her illness, Myne couldn't continue her internship, so she wouldn't be able to work with Lutz. Otto had advised that some people might be upset if Myne rarely showed up for work, but still received her full salary. Hearing that, Lutz agreed with Otto's advice. Lutz's mother also asked him not to continue interning at Gilberta's company, especially since Myne wasn't working there either. However, Lutz was determined to keep working there, whether Myne was with him or not. He explained that if he became a craftsman, the family business would eventually be handed over to his older brother, so he wanted something that he could call his own. Hearing Lutz's reasons, his mother stopped opposing his decision to become a trader. Later, Myne informed Benno that she would no longer be interning at his company. Even though she wasn't an apprentice at Gilberta anymore, Myne could still be a business partner with Benno, so she would continue to earn profits and be involved in business matters. After that, Myne and her friends taught Benno how to make paper. On their way back from the forest, Benno was carrying Myne when they ran into Gunther. Gunther was upset at first, seeing his daughter being carried by someone else, but after learning that it was Benno, he felt grateful because Benno had been helping Myne earn money. At that time, Otto laughed, joking that Benno was like Myne's father. Benno quickly denied it, saying he was still single and not married. Hearing this, Myne brought up Benno's loneliness. It turned out that Benno hadn't married because he was busy taking care of Karina until she found someone she loved and got married. Benno himself was engaged once, but sadly, his fiancée passed away before they could marry. After knowing about this, Myne encouraged Benno to stay happy. As time passed, the day of Myne's baptism arrived. Myne looked so beautiful that Lutz was embarrassed. People even thought she was a noble because of her lovely dress and pin. Benno was very impressed by Myne's new pin. Since parents weren't allowed inside, Gunther had to wait outside for his daughter. People around them commented on how good Myne and Lutz looked together, joking about a little bride, which made Gunther panic. After the baptism ceremony, Myne noticed a book in the high priest's hand. It was the first time Lutz saw the type of book Myne had been talking about. The priest then told them about the gods who were connected to the changing seasons, as part of the natural cycle. Afterward, they were taught how to pray. Lutz misunderstood and thought Myne was sick again, but she just laughed because she found the way they worshipped funny. Later, when Myne was taken to a room to rest, she sneaked out when no one was around. She accidentally found the library and immediately wanted to read a book. Unfortunately, only priests are allowed to enter the room with the books. Myne, who wanted to become an apprentice, asked the high priest for permission. However, she had to pay a fee to intern there. Then, Myne agreed to pay a large gold coin, which shocked the high priest and his assistant. Since it was a lot of money, the priest couldn't refuse. He even offered to help Myne convince her parents if they didn't agree. The high priest's approval made Myne happy, so she prayed in the way she found funny. When she returned home, Myne told her family about her plan to become an apprentice priest. Gunther was very upset because it meant Myne would have to leave her family. He was especially angry because most of the church members were orphans, and Myne still had a family. To share her parents' disapproval, Myne visited the church, accompanied by Lutz. When they arrived, they were greeted by Ferdinand. While waiting for the high priest, Ferdinand started reading a book about the gods. But there, Myne wanted to read it herself, and Ferdinand agreed. They read the story together, and Myne quickly learned the names of the gods. Ferdinand was surprised at how fast she remembered what she read. Soon, the high priest arrived. Myne explained that her family didn't agree with her decision, and she also mentioned her illness. Hearing this, the priest asked her to touch a sacred chalice. When the chalice reacted, he instructed Myne to bring her parents to the church. Afterward, Lutz picked up Myne and took her to the Gilberta company. There, Myne learned more about the church, discovering that orphans who worked with noble priests did so without pay for the rest of their lives. In the past, the church received donations from nobles. But because of wars, many nobles died, and the church lost a lot of income. That's why Myne's parents were upset about her becoming an apprentice, because they didn't want her to be exploited without any benefits. At that time, Myne needed to protect her workshop at the guild and secure her business contract with Lutz, so that even if she was tied to the church, her business wouldn't be affected. Long story short, Myne had to protect her money and not let the church or nobles take it for themselves. She wondered why Benno was so eager to help her. Mark explained that Benno genuinely cared about Myne, not just about profits. When Mark revealed this, Benno was annoyed, but Myne thanked them. On the way home, Lutz expressed his sadness because Myne hadn't kept her promise to make books for him to sell. Myne assured him that even if she joined the church, she would still pursue her dream. She told Lutz that she would need his help to make this happen. This made Myne feel relieved. When Myne got home, she told her family that she had refused to become an apprentice priest. However, when the church discovered that Myne had the eater illness, they made her touch the holy chalice. Now that the church and nobles knew she had mana, Myne couldn't avoid them anymore. So, Gunther and Eva were asked to meet with the church. Shortly after, Myne explained Benno's advice, which was to negotiate with the church. The goal was for her to get a blue robe, usually worn by noble priests, so she could be treated better. Besides that, she could offer her workshop as a way to help the orphans. With the workshop, the orphans could meet their needs, which would reduce the church's expenses and increase its income. This would also help secure Myne's position. At that time, she also needed to emphasize how weak she was, so she could get permission to keep living with her family. It was important for Myne to stay alive. If the agreement worked out, she would be the only person who could be an apprentice at the church while also being part of the merchant guild. This discussion made Tully unable to sleep, and she cried in Eva's arms. Tully was scared because she knew that commoners usually weren't allowed to make requests or demands to nobles without facing consequences. The next day, Gunther and some others accompanied Myne to the church. Knowing that she came from a poor family, the high priest treated them harshly and even threatened to throw Myne's parents in jail when Gunther and Eva stood up to him. When her parents were threatened, Myne's emotions got out of control, and her mana surged, putting the high priest's life in danger. Fortunately, Ferdinand was able to calm her down, reminding her that if the high priest died, her parents would be blamed for killing a noble. Unfortunately, Ferdinand got hurt in the process but felt it was his fault for allowing the high priest to behave so badly. Afterward, Myne and her family met in Ferdinand's study. They discussed things, and Ferdinand agreed to the 3 conditions that Myne proposed. After settling things with the church, Myne and her family happily left the place. When they arrived back home, they were welcomed by Tully and Lutz. Soon after, a touching moment happened between Tully and Myne. The anime will be continued. The moral lesson from this anime is always carry a magic bracelet, because you never know when you might accidentally unleash your hidden powers and almost turn a grumpy priest into toast.